Welcome one, welcome all to episode 255 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, December 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. Today we are also joined by one Jose, the Chipotlebear of the Nerd Chat, to discuss the Game Awards, winners and losers, and how to celebrate games. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness. Those have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. It was a very kind of normal week. So it's a lot of rain here in California, which is not something that we're too accustomed to. So I obviously did not prep and have a bunch of stuff that got really wet out on the patio. So outside of that, just finding bugs in Call of Duty and watching the review go up this week was fun. How about you?
Yeah, no, dude, that was a nice win for you. I thought, like, getting you to have that moment was great. You did a fantastic job editing it. I know that it was a project that had been looming because we've been talking about it, and you put 100+ hours in game time just to do this video right. And I was really proud of you for doing that one.
Yeah,
which was cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of time. I don't know how JPR or I don't know how JRPG gamers put in so much time into those big games to do reviews.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Yeah, I have some comments actually on that, but I want to first introduce Jose, the Chipotlebear from the Nerd Chat. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me this morning. Happy Saturday to you both.
Good to see you.
Yeah, always.
It's been a while. I didn't know that your room was like in the middle of everything. I seriously thought like you had your own little cordoned off room. And I was watching the Nerd Chat the other day, and it was
that way. And my daughters are playing over there, like literally 15 feet away. So it's literally in the middle of our household, but works really well. And it was the one room when we bought this house. My wife was like, "You can do whatever you want in there," and I have taken that very much to heart. So it's been great.
Nice. Very cool. I like it.
Yeah.
You did a good job with the room so far.
Thanks, man. In terms of my gaming week, being grateful, like a couple shout outs first to the team at Machine Games, because I've been playing so much Indiana Jones, and man, I just love that game. I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. But realistically, I also want to send a huge shout out to Todd Oxtra and our friend Eric from our Game Positive. On Thursday, when we recorded our show, I couldn't be there because I was at school for a holiday concert, and they both filled in for me. And it was a very entertaining show at the very least, even though it was not. Some of my co-hosts were a little more bitter at the end of the Game Awards, but I really appreciate them coming on in my place. And of course, I always love having people on our show as well. So those are my thanks for this week, man.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I will. I have many people, I suppose, to thank, but I think the biggest thing that I want to say is my words of kindness go to all the people that were doing live reacts from the XEP community. Sometimes I get questions of like, why don't you guys do live reacts? One, I don't think I'd be very good at it because I enjoy just watching and like absorbing the show without the commentary. But two, so many of our XEP community were doing their own thing. It was cool to see Spreading the Nerd. They had their own live react show. I think Silkenet and Rick and oh my gosh, Clint did just fantastic. I enjoyed their stream. I also enjoyed watching you guys over at the Nerd Chat for a bit, you and Todd, and having a good old time. I was like bouncing stream to stream, you know, just watching different things, seeing Todd talk VR and just celebrate that. And then, of course, Trophy Room did their thing. And it was just neat seeing everybody come together and celebrate. And for all the critique that is deserved, I think, from the Keeleys and the Game Awards over the years, mind you, it is a wonderful pillar moment for our industry, much like E3 or Summer Game Fest or these showcases that we do. So I really enjoyed watching that. So those are my words of kindness this week.
Love it.
Nice.
So, yeah. Quick aside. Also, I want to thank everybody that has checked out XEP this week. We've done a lot of work of late, put up a lot of different content. The Power Rangers Rita's Rewind review went up on Monday. Then, of course, the Call of Duty review that Logan worked so hard on went up on Wednesday, which was really cool. Had a short go up in there somewhere. The shorts sometimes are really heavy efforts. Other times they're just like, burp, burp. But it's been a lot of XEP content of late that I'm really proud of. I did the preview event for Sniper Elite a few weeks back, which I was really proud of. And then we have a controller, a headset, and now a SteamDeck review that we're all kind of working on, which is just something I'm very proud of to say. And so it was neat to see that stuff go up and know that those things are in queue. So I just appreciate everybody for being supportive, because we're not the biggest show, and it always feels good when people are able to help.
But you are a great show, man, and you're growing. And man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited to see what you think of the Steam Deck. I know, all PC jokes aside, man, like you're much like us, Luke. We were very hesitant at first, and you just like inch your way over there, and before you know it, you're building a rig with Logan, and it's good, man.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, pardon the Velcro sound on that. So they sent me
satisfying.
They sent me the cream of the crop, by the way. It was Valve that sent this over, so thank you to Valve. They sent me the 1 terabyte OLED version, which cool. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It comes in this really cool case. I'm anxious. I've logged in. I've downloaded some of the games that I want to start on, and I've reached out because I want to tackle some Xbox stuff. You know what I mean? Like the Xbox games on there, because the whole point is how it relates to the Xbox ecosystem as Xbox expands. Like selfishly, it's fun that I'll get to play a handheld, because I do love handhelds. Like the Vita was one of my favorites. So selfishly, I'm excited about that. But the point for the channel is to talk about how it is an Xbox or is not an Xbox. And so I'm waiting for the Steam sale to start before I stack some of the Xbox stuff.
You're smart.
Yeah, just to be blunt. And I haven't really had a chance to play with it yet, because I've been so, like, I haven't wanted new. I don't know about you guys lately, but like for me, like I'm just burned out, because Chipo, you know, like the 2 weeks before school's out, it's been a madhouse, man. Yeah. And so I've just not wanted new. I've come home, and what I've done is it's just so weird. You heard anyone that listened to XEP last week or the week prior, I was done with Starfield. I was like, screw this, I'm done. Shattered Space, kind of sour taste in my mouth, not enjoying. And then they put up this 31st anniversary Doom mini mission that is really good. And I was like, wow, God. So I re-downloaded it, started playing it. It's dope. You encounter this ship that's just like the ship from, I want to say Doom. Oh gosh, it's one of the, like, not Doom 2. It's the one right after Neptunia, maybe. But like you see the Doom ship, you get on there and these people are acting crazy, and it's very like, oh, they've been infected. You go to Mars. There's this secret base on Mars. You go in, you start fighting things. You get the Praetor suit from Doom Eternal and Doom.
Oh, that's sweet.
2016. It looks fantastic. They give you the super shotgun, and you get the blade from Doom Eternal, and it's all very good. And the story's dope, and it visually looks good. So then I got rehooked in there in Starfield. Now I'm going around doing bounty missions and just combat heavy missions. I did an exploration mission. I'm just going around in my Doom Praetor suit, being the Doom Slayer in Starfield. And I was like, man, I was out because Starfield's got a lot of problems, but I'm 4 days in on that game. Now I'm going around in Doom, having a good time.
Do you think that they could have made like a whole Starfield Doom game at this point, like if it was open world, or do you think like this is just like a nice little like one-off to kind of jump into?
It's a good question. The mission is better than anything Shattered Space offered. And I don't say that reductively. I don't say that to be cruel or rude to those who clearly worked very hard on Shattered Space.
Very rude. Okay. It is very, very rude.
But it is very clear that like whomever made this one, and this person does have a pretty big name. It starts with a K, and I can't remember it. Kickbath or something.
Keeley?
But no.
That'd be sweet.
But it's very good. Like, it's well done. It doesn't have a lot of fat, which I think Shattered Space had a lot of fat that needed trimming. And it was just a very simple set of missions that tied in well with what it would be to be Doom in this universe. They even have like the Doom voice, and it's like, we're going to come back for our armor. It's like, ooh, okay.
That's so
yeah, it was cool. I really liked it. And if they had more, I would have loved it. But it does show me one more time 2 things. One, Luke Lohr enjoys IP crossover. I know that. I've said that many a time. I'm a sucker for that. But also, very clearly and sincerely, when it's done right, it's worth it. It looks great in Starfield. It plays great. It didn't damage my achievements or progress. So it wasn't like some creation engine mod type thing. It was just, this is in here. You can discover it if you want. And that's cool. More of that, please. Like, why can I not drive the Warthog instead of just the Rev 8, or let the Rev 8 be a Warthog? I don't know. Little stuff like that. It just shows me there's more to this game if they want it to be. I just don't think they want to evolve. because this was a dope mission. And it makes me feel like, maybe this is a strange comparison, but our Xbox community can relate. It makes me feel like when you had the Master Chief Collection people at first, but then whoever took over Master Chief Collection really got it and really figured it out and cleaned up the experience and made it better. And now they're on the Infinite. Like, it makes me feel like whoever is doing this Doom stuff should be helping with the main course of what Starfield is.
Yeah.
So
how long did it take you? What was your playtime for the side mission?
It's about an hour at most, probably.
Okay.
Probably an hour. And it's not big. And they tell you that. Like, they're very clear. This is a mini mission. There's no expectations set for a full campaign. But just going through that hour, to me, was more fulfilling than all of Shattered Space. And I'm not saying that to be a jerk. Like, I'm not saying it to be a jerk. Shattered Space greatly disappointed me, and I love Starfield. So take that for what you will. Take that for what you will.
I can't let go of the fact that you were fat shaming Shattered Space.
It's bad. But real quick before we get too far down the rabbit hole, I see so many of our friends in chat. Hello to It, a coffee chick, Rick Davis. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. Gentlestone is here with us as well. And I saw one. Oh, Happy Cloud Gamer and Goldeneye. Good to see you all. It's good to see you. I appreciate the kind comments. I'm reading through. Gentlestone, you are far too kind also. But all of you guys that did stream did a great job also. So it was cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of what happened to me this week, guys. This one Steam Deck arrived. I meant time into it, but I was so burned out. I jumped into like an old hack comfort food experience, had a good time. But I am anxious to, put some time in on the Steam Deck and figure out how much I enjoy it proper, but also how it relates to Xbox. And that's been my week of gaming, I guess.
When are you done for break, Luke? What day?
This coming Friday is a half day for us.
Sweet.
So,
and assuming you found it on a Steam sale, what are like top 2 or 3 games you want to jump in right away on the Steam Deck if you could choose anything? Just curious.
So right now, I'm loving TMNT Splintered Fate, which is the perfect to me like portable experience. Very short bursts, go. Yeah. Click, not a lot of reading kind of thing. After that, I've got all the Arkham games. I want to play through the Arkham Origins Blackgate on account of playing all the Arkham games, just because I had that on my Vita. I never finished it. And so I want to kind of go through so I can say I've finished every Arkham game. I guess you could say. But beyond that, I'm kind of not sure, because I thought about Hades too, but that's what Splintered Fate is. I've got, the idea of I play Marvel Rivals or Fortnite or any of these things there, but would that be worthwhile instead of my Xbox? So what I'm trying to find are the right games for Steam Deck, and Diablo 4 makes sense, but do I want to buy it full price when I have it on Game Pass? And so that's going to be part of my review is, if I have this on Game Pass, do I want to purchase again for this ecosystem versus side loading a Game Pass option, which you might get if you had just purchased a ROG Ally, right? That has to be the conversation of, if you get a Steam Deck instead of a ROG Ally or a MetaQuest or whatever it is that ancillarily takes you into the Xbox world, are you willing to double dip and purchase? Do the games have cross progression? Can you log into Starfield that you've bought for Steam on your Steam Deck and then use your save from Xbox? So I'm going to talk about and look into a lot of those things, but it's the holidays. Money is tight. We're very fortunate to even have this to review, so that is not lost on me, but I'm going to be smart about how I go about on a personal front. I'm not going to dive so far in and buy everything and be like, particularly as Xbox is working to, like, that Xbox app got an update a week ago where more games that have been purchased are showing up there from other places, and stuff's getting sideloaded into the Xbox app. So it's very clear that Xbox is trying to make themselves worthwhile on every platform. And so that is going to be a concept there. And I really would love a chance to, even if they were like to loan one to us, check out the ROG Ally versus the Steam Deck for how it matches up for Xbox gamers. That's something I'm interested in seeing also. So yeah, I'm keeping a good eye on these Steam sales when they come up. I'm going to be smart about what I do and don't buy. I know Nissa in chat is talking about how, she has a ROG Ally in the Xbox app and Game Pass. I see Happy Cloud Gamer saying Mafia is 85% off. Sathia's hello. So like, it's, I'm just curious here. Nissa, I don't think I would like Dreamlight Valley. I don't think that's my kind of game. But I see you guys having fun with the cozy game chat in our Discord. So cheers to you. What do you guys think? Does that answer your question, or does it raise more questions?
No, that answers my question, man. It just like I don't. You don't have to say because I don't know what the parameters of your review thing are, but like I don't know how much time they're giving you, or if they sent like other accessories and stuff. Like one of the things that I have not done with my Ally, sitting right over there, is they make a device it's only like $30 that is a power supply and an HDMI out for your Ally, so that I can literally put the Ally next to my TV, and when I dock it, it'll basically become an Xbox on my TV, and I can connect a controller wirelessly. And I haven't done that. It's actually on my Christmas list. I'm hoping that's coming in a little bit soon. But that I think is a cool like feature of the handheld gaming community, right? Like the idea that like, yes, I have this portable thing, like the Switch. Basically, I can play it on the go, but then when I want to go home and sit on my couch or my TV and have that experience, that it's there. So I was just curious if I don't know if they gave you any of that kind of stuff too, if that'll be in your review or not.
No, happy to be very transparent on all of it. They gave me the Steam Deck. So the Steam Deck is mine. And again, they were very generous. Valve was 1 terabyte OLED. They gave me the best of the best. And from there, I can make my own choices. Like there were no parameters that they offered. So it is not lost on me how kind and fortunate they were, or fortunate I was. But now it's up to me to figure this ecosystem out. And that is what I'm going to talk about with this review. The idea of a stand is on my to look into list.
Sure.
But again, I'm trying to be smart about what I purchase, because it is holiday time, teacher time, you know.
Dude.
So I'm going about it cautiously. But if anybody in the chat or comments has suggestions for the Steam Deck, please drop them, because I am looking at all of them much the way I did the MetaQuest 3. And then I'm applying that to, one, what I purchased for the experience, but two, how I want to go about covering it for Xbox. Luke, drop your Steam name. Sure, yeah. Let me look it up to make sure. My Steam name is InsipidGhost 1. Ghost 1. That is my Steam name. So I put that into the chat there. But that is me. Please feel free to add me over there. Luke, get the carrying case I gave you. So they gave me a carrying case. It comes with, I guess, the higher models, and it's very hardy. It's very good. So that's, again, part of the review. But I'm just excited because Xbox is expanding. I want to expand our channel's coverage of that and be ready for it, because and I'll tie this to the Game Awards, I think a lot of people are really excited for the Outer Worlds too. That's PlayStation Day 1. And that doesn't bother me. Like, it might have bothered me 2 years ago. Now I'm like, dope. So I'm trying to forward think for our listeners and audience and ourselves. I want XEP to grow and evolve. And I think this is part of growing and evolving. And I try to be very transparent with all of that too. So
that's right, man. Shout out to Rick in the chat for Dave the Diver. That is a great Steam Deck game. Like, for real.
Is it?
Yeah, because it plays really well. It's pretty low on your like system stuff. And I don't know if you have the Steam version, but the Retro Realms game also is a great portable game too, just so you know, with Michael Myers and Evil Dead.
I loved that game. I did do a review for XEP, but I have not played it on Steam. Yeah. I have played it on Xbox, so that's worthwhile. I'm looking at Shredder's Revenge and stuff in the background. I'm like, when's that going on sale? You know,
you should also check out Vampire Survivors too.
Oh, yeah.
If you were going to double dip, you should go back to Vampire Survivors.
So I play the mess out of Vampire Survivors on mobile and on Xbox and via cloud with my Backbone 1. Is it worth going in again? Because like, I love the game.
Well, I'm not saying it's necessarily worth going in, but I'm saying if you wanted to go for an experience that was going to, like, you would have the best idea of like, this is what's expected based off of mobile, based off console. How does it compare to what I'm playing on the Steam Deck as far as like the handheld goes? That would be a good experience for you to like be able to have a good weight of judgment on if this is actually like what I expect it to look like, or what I want it to look like, or how it should feel.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, I can do that. That's a good idea. That's a very good comparison, actually. I can definitely do that. I'm definitely going to snag, when it goes on sale, something from the 2 games from the Xbox ecosystem, right? Like Master Chief Collection or a Forza or something, because I think it's worthwhile to give those comparisons, right? Because that's the whole premise of getting it. So that is going to happen. I'm just taking my time. Rick, I did add you over on Steam. So there you go. InsipidGhost 1. The digit is a 1. So there you go, buddy.
You think you could go with, and maybe this is just me. I don't know, but Sea of Thieves. Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you think would Sea of Thieves be a good thing to test?
Yes.
Okay, so here's why I'm asking. And again, audience, jump in and talk on this one. You have talked many times about Sea of Thieves kind of being on the decline.
Yes.
Right? It's a live service game also. Is that the experience you want to check out on a Steam Deck? Oh, I'm getting all these friend requests. Nice. I see you, Chippo. Yay.
I think this is an experience that will be able to test the hardware because it's a last gen game that's been booted up. It's the Steam client's typically a little bit more stable in the PC side of things. But it's going to be one that's going to test the connectivity of the Steam Deck. It's going to test the graphics and it's going to test the battery life because of the graphics. So plus you're also going to want to play stuff where you are going to be communicating with other people. And how does that work?
Right. I'm gonna write these down because I think these are good questions and it's very worthwhile. So Sea of Thieves is something, or Sea of Thieves or something like it, right? Because it's something
like Dead by Daylight or like a multiplayer game where you have to communicate with other people. And how does that work? Because I mean, right now, Xbox has kind of done what I think a lot of people wanted to do, which was have Discord, get bought by Xbox. Well, Discord didn't do that. They just pushed their stuff to all the other consoles. So now our chat rooms are no longer party chat. They're now Discord chats. And with the Steam Deck, that is a big question. With the Logitech, with the Asus ROG, that is a big question. With Nintendo, I don't talk to people. I don't talk to people on Nintendo, so I don't ever think about it because that's not how they do their console. There's no voice chat. So with the Steam Deck and with the ROG Ally and with the Logitech G Cloud, that consistently comes back as a question. How do I communicate with my friends the way I do on console and PC? This is a handheld experience. It's going to be a little bit more limiting, but I still have access to all of these games. Multiplayer should be a factor in that because that's the lifeblood of Xbox in general. So Halo multiplayer, free to play. Warzone, free to play. Fortnite, free to play. How do all of these, some of the major games, every year we talk about, like how these games are always on the top charts. How do these games play on there that deal with multiplayer and voice chat?
I mean, the other thing you could do that might be a cool just experiment, I don't know if anyone's done it on YouTube, is because you can run Discord on your phone, you could theoretically run your voice chat through your phone. And if your headset allows for dual inputs at the same time, you could be getting the input from your Steam Deck wirelessly and from your phone wirelessly and just see how that runs. I mean, you could also run obviously on the Steam Deck with Discord too, but just, for weird scenarios that come up, it'd be cool to try that out too.
That's a good idea. These are all good things, and I am jotting them down. One thing I wish I had done or talked about in my Quest review was the lack of Discord on MetaQuest, because to y'all's point, like that has become integral to how we now do chat rooms. I had a friend at work say, "Are you playing Marvel Rivals?" I was like, "Yeah, man, I sure am." He goes, "What's your Xbox name?" I told him, "Hey, Fun Speculation, good to see you, buddy." And I told him, and then I'm in my mind, I'm like, "You're gonna have to join my Discord. I'm not going into a party chat. What am I, an animal?" And it's like so strange to me now that like what once was the cream, like Xbox party chat was everything. And now I'm like, you gotta be in Discord. And so the integration of that will be something to look into also. Shout out to Lost Crown. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is a great game.
Yeah.
Great game also. So yeah. Bacon, add me there. I've gotten like 5 Steam requests. You guys are awesome. I thank you. I got Silkenit Chick, Chipotlebear, Butch4969. Makes my day. So thank you guys. This is exciting. So any other thoughts on that front, guys?
No, but I do want to shout out a couple sales that I wanted to talk about. If you guys haven't checked out the updates for Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, that game has been effectively fixed. Like Rockstar took over the reins on that, went in and was like, no, we're not going to have our legacy like look like this. So Rockstar went back to the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, and they fixed that up. That is now on sale for like $24 on Xbox right now. Also, I noticed that who was it? I think it was Anubis in our Discord showed that Okami HD is 75% off right now in America. It's like $5. So that's one that like I don't think I've actually bought that on Switch. But I think I'll probably pick up Okami if it's on sale and like give that a shot, because Okami 2 is been announced, and we're going to get into the announcements, and it's going to be really interesting. But that's one that's like everyone always says, like, if you like Zelda games, go play Okami. And I was like, all right,
it's only like $5 too, right? Or something like that right now.
$5. It's wild. Yeah. So those are a couple of shout outs that I wanted to let people know about, especially with some folks in chat. If you guys are looking for stuff to play, or if you're looking for good deals, definitely check those out.
Do you guys anticipate? Hey, Daddy D Wally, good to see you, buddy. Do you guys anticipate Steam games, Steam library becoming available on your Xbox ecosystem soon, like within a year? You must have a kiddo sneaking around you, Jose.
She was in the fridge.
Oh, she was in the fridge. Nice.
She was like climbing up into the fridge.
Yeah, she's getting a drink over there.
I didn't see it.
When is she gonna fall? I'm just waiting for the kid to fall. I personally don't expect that because I don't know that that's something that Steam would allow. It would be very impressive if they could work that out, but that's not something I'm ever going to bank on. I kind of fully anticipate Xbox spreading the love, but they're also going to charge every time you go over to a different platform. So it's not like they're giving your purchases over to Sony's library, boot up your PlayStation, or vice versa.
I'm just thinking about the idea, like, it's possible. We've heard from people that know better than I, right? Smarter men than me, I suppose, say or suggest that it's quite possible Xbox licenses out the ability for other manufacturers to make the next Xbox, right? Like, they'll have their own, but like Asus could make their own, Lenovo could make theirs, etc. And I could see a world where they're like, hey, revenue share, instead of we get 30%, if they're buying an Xbox content or through the Xbox stuff on your platform, we go 15% instead of, like, whatever the monies work out. What I mean is money's being spent is better than money's not being spent. So I could see them do that because they have been pretty chummy with Steam, and it's not like Xbox games don't chart really well on Steam. So I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect it. I'm with Logan on that. Like, I think that expectation, or that kind of expectation, is what gets us in trouble with so many things, right? It's why people were upset about the Game Awards. It's why people are upset about Xbox hardware that didn't supposedly come out in this year. Like, we need to temper expectations and honestly just be patient. And we're very bad at that as a society. That's why like TikTok is great because of the short form content, that kind of stuff. I do think it would be cool, and I don't think it's out of the question. I do very much agree that as Xbox clearly is pushing themselves more into like maintaining the PC realm, I don't think they're getting rid of console, for the record, but I think that that's something they're looking into. I think they'd be very open to it. And Luke, I do agree with you from just an economic standpoint. If Steam already has the library, if they're already there, and developing an app that works natively is really not that much work in the grand scheme of things. But then even if they only got 5% of all those sales, again, 5% is still more than nothing. Right. And again, that also would be an incentive for if and when down the road they do develop a handheld or whatever the next console is. Again, you start building that ecosystem. That's a lot of money that people could spend there. So I think it'd be cool. I mean, I've certainly built up my Steam library a lot in the last year. Definitely a lot of games that I have not played that I should. But it is really nice with the things like the Ally, just because it is. I mean, what's hard about it? I'm curious to see how you think about this, Luke or Logan, if you have feedback. Is when I built this PC last year, thank you, Bacon, by the way, in the chat for that help. I wanted to build like a very powerful machine because I was like, I want a game 4K and I want like high resolution and like I want to be in ultra mode and stuff. And when I got my Ally, you really can't do that for most games, or at least the high end ones. I mean, if you do, you're just going to judder and your frame rate goes in terribly down. And so you get used to playing on like medium or even low settings. And like, there's something inherently like, I don't like seeing low or medium on your PC kind of stuff. But at the same time, like the game runs fine and the game is still fun. And I think there's, again, some of that mentality switch that it's, you don't have to have the most powerful device to have fun. Right, with these games. I think that's what the Switch proved to everybody. And so I hope that that's what we start to see more and more of. It's just go back to having fun, man. Like, love what you love. It's fine.
Long has been the philosophy of XEP to not dunk on other games or systems.
Yeah, unless you're, like really doing something bad, in which case I'm gonna call you out. But I do that for Xbox as well too.
Yeah, I mean, I know you know what I mean, but for any listener, we mean like because it's PlayStation, we're not going to go after it, right? Like we're not going to go after it because it's PlayStation. We're not going to go after it because it's Nintendo. We're going to go after things that we don't think make sense, to include Microsoft and Xbox. There are things that they have not done that we want them to do. There are things that others have done well that we want, our preferred ecosystems to do, and so that is all part of it. We celebrate games and enjoy it. That's that. You will not be in the XEP Discord and see people dunking on PlayStation for being PlayStation. That's not a thing. No. It doesn't make sense. So, gents, let's talk about these Game Awards. Can we?
Absolutely.
Is there Game Awards?
There were Game Awards, if you can believe it. I think off the bat, like many content creators are appropriately saying, Jeff Keighley has gotten some deserved flack for the last few years of Summer Game Fest and Game Awards for any number of things, from too many ads to strange mobile approaches to the overhype of some things and underselling others. But I think credit where due, this is perhaps the best Game Awards I've ever seen. And as someone who has blatantly and frontally critiqued Keighley's work and Keighley himself in person, it's very nice to see this Game Awards be such a great showcase for the industry, for gaming. And there was a lot to celebrate, regardless of whether or not we agreed with the winners, losers, or the nominations. There was a lot of good coming out of this showcase. So I left very pleased. How did you guys take it?
I thought this was probably the best Game Awards that I'd seen. He did exactly what I think I wanted to have a lot done. So the only critiques that I've really had was the Muppets felt a little campy, but it wasn't. It was enough camp that I was like, okay, I get why he's doing this, because he wants to let people know, like, he hears and sees like what people think of him, and like that he's trying to navigate how to do the Game Awards well. So like the Muppets being there, like throwing shade at him, like the roasting of him, I think that's the best approach that you can really come to if you're going to do anything kind of sidetracking and campy with that. He, for whatever reason, consistently always brings up like the three people that he's good friends with for the Game Awards. So Joseph Ferris, we've got Hideo Kojima, and why am I blanking on the other one? Sam Lake. Are like the three people that always seem to be coming up on the Game Awards. And of course, like the flute guy made another return. So it's like he relies a lot on that meme ability, when people come in to do stuff, like people taking more time than they needed to from last year to be able to do their speech and cashing in on their time tokens and stuff. So outside of like the obvious references to past shows and the self-deprecation through the Muppets, I thought the show was really good. I did a tally on the awards that were shotgunned versus the awards that were actually given time to talk. I was a little disappointed that there was one more award that was shotgunned than number of awards that were done. It was a 15-16 ratio. So 15 awards got to have their time, and 16 of them got shotgunned. And some of those that were like shotgunned were like, best art direction, best music, best score, kind of stuff like that. So it was like, okay, I can understand going through and just saying like best esports team, best content creator, best esports athlete, like who's calling esport gamer, like pro gamers, who's calling them athletes first off? But like some of those are ones where it's like, guys, these are there's some that I can understand. Like you want a shotgun. There's others where I'm like, maybe we should give those some time. Maybe one less premiere. So that was kind of my takeaway. But I thought the show was great. Outside of like wanting to have categories better defined, so that in more categories, honestly, like there's categories for genres of games that I didn't see, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk. But I still have a lot of thoughts on the Game Awards, just like as a general show that I definitely want to like broach before we get into like the premieres and awards and stuff like that. So feel free to stop me from talking at this point.
No, Logan, I share. So I already told you guys earlier, I was not able to watch them live in the way that I wanted to. I would have loved to, of course, been with my co-hosts and our friends, Todd and Eric, but I had to go to school that night. To be fair, and sorry to my students, I was trying to like watch it while I was at the holiday concert and like AirPod in my ear. And so I got pieces of it, obviously, and I was trying to contribute to our show. And I guess that night I was a little confused. I guess like I went to bed feeling like, I don't know how I felt about that show. I will say at the very beginning, like the first half hour to 45 minutes of the official show, I was jazzed. Like I was like, dang, this is going to be rad. Cause it was like, we got 2 banger games out the gate. We saw Harrison Ford on stage. I didn't realize Troy Baker was so tall and Todd was so short. Like there was so many fun moments in literally like the first 45 minutes. And then we get into the cadence of the show and it kind of, I always forget every year that it's like a 3-hour show. And I like, ever since I've been little, I just don't like award shows. Like I think spending 3 hours watching people talk is not very fun. Although I get that it's important. And for what it's worth, I will just say a quick aside about Jeff. I do appreciate what he's done for this industry. You know, like something that I have loved since I'm a child, whether I love Jeff himself or necessarily all aspects of the show, he has helped increase its clout. He has brought it more to the mainstream. I mean, like, it is cool that more and more people are getting involved in the Game Awards. And like, yes, it's weird that Pacino showed up on stage, probably a little out of his mind, but at the same time, like, it's still Al Pacino, dude. Like, that's rad. I mean, he's not probably doing a lot of gaming stuff. And of course, Harrison Ford, that was a cool pickup this year. But
Chipotle, do you think Jeff's like just hitting up like the Hollywood nursing homes and he's just like checking out the A-list actors that are chilling in their bedrooms and he's like,
hey, what are you doing next Thursday?
I gotta tell you about like what games are, and they're like, games? Oh yeah, tell me about games. And he just like throws them in a
I'm in a game. Let's get out there.
He's like, everyone, Al Pacino, and he's like,
it's become a staple now, right? And he actually had 2 celebrities because he had Snoop later on in the show too. Like I would imagine we're going to continue to see that grow, and I hope that goes well. I mean, I can't remember the name of the actress. I apologize. It's not a PlayStation anti thing. But the girl who's in Intergalactic, she's a famous actress. I just can't think of her name. Like I would imagine at some point she's going to be on the show, and she should be, right? Just like Melita Juergens for Hellblade and stuff. So overall, though, and I'll stop talking. As I get further away, I think the show is fine, man. I do agree with my co-host Dan, who's here in the chat, probably yelling on his phone when he's with his kids here. It's weird that they call it an award show and it's not really about awards. That's, I think, what I struggle with the most is like, yes, there's the Game of the Awards, and yes, there are some big ones they do feature, but it feels weirdly wrong to me to give an award and not let people even just say thank you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how to fix that. I mean, I hate coming to it and saying I don't have a way to solve that. I thought about like, what if they did let a lot of the quote unquote smaller awards, maybe that's the pre-show, right? Instead of the trailers that you get in the pre-show, like the Ninja Gaiden one and stuff, is like maybe you focus on, of the 30 awards, 20 of those are there, right? So they get their time in the spotlight. You know, if people are able to join in early, they get that time. It's still recorded, and everybody kind of gets that feeling of appreciation for the work they've done. And then when you get to the show, it's really a just trailer award or 2, and they get to talk. And I mean, like maybe that's a better system. I don't know.
I hate to call you out on this, but can I throw some info?
Yeah, please do.
I went back last night and I'd watched the show live, but I went back and I scrubbed through it at 2 times speed to do the show notes.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, I didn't think about it until after I got into the main show, but I was like, I started to call out the awards that were shotgunned versus like given time. And I went back to the pre-show, and I was surprised that it was actually a healthy balance. I'm blanking on the name of the chick that was doing it, but
Sydney Goodson, right?
Goodman.
Thank you. Yeah. She like the ones that she did, like best fighting game got time, best VR AR game got time, but then like the esports game athlete and team were all shotgun, but then like games for impact got time, and then like innovation and accessibility got time, and then like best family game got time, and then it kicked over into the main show, and I was like, I'm actually impressed. They did a little bit of both, and they still got some premieres into the actual pre-show. So I was like, that works out. But the feeling that you're getting speaks to how it doesn't feel like that's actually happening.
Yeah, and also maybe that's a carryover, right? I mean, like this has gone on for a couple of years now, and so there's like you almost expect it, and everyone's expecting to complain about it because they've complained about it last year. But again, man, I at the end, I don't want to end on a negative note, because I really, at the end, I love that it elevates our culture, right? The stuff that we love. And there was a lot of cool announcements. What I have to also make peace with is like, not every game is for me, right? So like, just because they end on a game or they get close a bunch of like games, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really appeal to me. That doesn't make it a bad show, right? That means it appeals to other people too, which is a good thing. And at the end of the day, we talked about this real quick last week on our show, was that like, it's funny when you talk about indies with people, usually they're very supportive, right? We talk with like Silken and Anissa, and like everybody's into indies in Discord, and like, oh, I played this, it's great. Oh, you should try this, it's great. They don't really crap on that, but the second you get into like AAA or AA games, everybody gets real defensive. But it's weird why. You know what I mean? They're just games. They're just from different studios, and so I'm grateful that as we're hopefully stepping away, we're just more celebrating this, because it was cool, man, and I'm glad that it happened.
You mentioned like the format, and Dan and many others are saying like it's not an award show, this is a preview show, a showcase show, and like how to fix it. And I don't agree with that, given this year's production. I think this year did nail the format. I agree with, I believe it was Happy Cloud Gamer in chat. And I have like a couple other like mini things that might help. One of the things I really liked in this showcase was the previous year's winners coming up and having speeches or talking to those that were nominated in their category. And if they're willing to, maybe like if you're making a game in that genre, you're making an action game, maybe the trailer for your game comes up and then you come up and you introduce the nominees for action game of the year, right? So you get your moment, you get to say, we hope you check it out, we hope you enjoy it. Think about the Blade director a year or so ago was, let us cook, like that kind of thing. If it was last year, that sounds great. But maybe like that kind of a moment would be a way to solve that. But I loved the previous year's winners getting to come out, have their flowers for having won the last year, and then present this year's nominees or winner. I think the end of the showcase special, because I watched the first bit and then fell asleep because I wasn't going to stay up for a 3-hour show as well. But, having him come back out, the Larian director, and give a wonderful speech about the state of the industry was exceptional. Having a way to showcase what is upcoming while celebrating what is currently here is important. And to the Game Awards credit, I suppose, to Keely's credit, when we say Keely, we often mean the production. Yes. But to his credit, finally acknowledging the industry layoffs and some of the problems that are coming up was well executed and long overdue, but very well done, because with this platform, they have a chance to speak directly to those making decisions, but also those in the industry, and be a catalyst for change, or at least recognition for problems, because game journalism is all but dead. I saw a post the other day, like there's like less than 40 game journalists now.
Dang.
In favor of Patreons and YouTube channels, and like IGN is bought by somebody at some point. I forget, like they're all purchased now by Megacorp. What is it, bud?
Humble Games company. Whoever owns the Humble Games.
There's some sort of conglomerate element to them, right? And so our industry is suffering in that respect, because journalists could call out these injustices or these frustrations. And then quite separately, you've got all the layoffs, which are a huge issue. So I liked how Game Awards acknowledged that. I think they can still do more. But I thought what they did this week was a tremendous step forward. And what I hope is that they continue to hear this feedback and respond more quickly, because it took too long for them to do this step. I also think their categories could use some adjustment, as it were, to highlight a wonderful trailer for the Elden Ring. It was Night something. I gotta look at the notes. Night Rain, I think it is. Elden Ring Night Rain. I really thought that was a wonderful trailer. But if you listen to Jeff's wording, he's like, and a new standalone adventure, a clear reference of sorts to the fact that Game of the Year nominee
was not
DLC expansion Shadow of the Erdtree is not a standalone adventure. So like there's still growing to be done, but an exceptional 10-year showcase. And I want more of the previous winners to get showcases. I think that's important. Give them their time and find a way to continue spotlighting it, because we did get more speeches. We did get less shotguns.
No,
and I thought there was a mass improvement.
In feeling they weren't rushed, but we still got
perhaps that's the best way to.
We got fewer speeches than we did actual shotgun awards, and it should be the opposite.
Yeah. I see the trophy rooms comment, and Joe is obviously saying this in jest, but it is a feeling that I think many have, is that PlayStation was very well represented at the Game Awards and Xbox was not.
Especially for not having any games this year.
Man, they had so many games. And like there are things that I disagree with, right? I'm not on a panel, but like the idea that Helldivers gets better multiplayer game than Call of Duty, silly, strange to me.
Yeah.
Despite both being great.
And best ongoing.
I wonder. Yeah, weird. But I want to point out that Xbox has been on this panel of Game Awards directors for years. Like Phil Spencer's been on that panel for years. They've had a close relationship for years. And they have so much coming. Xbox does in 2025 and 6. All signs point to them having a showcase in Q1 next year. So they could have very consciously said, nope, we'll give you a multi-plat game like Outer Worlds. And they stepped back. Possibly. So that's just something I wanted to put into the minds of the audience and wonder if that was the case. For anybody else.
Have you ever been on a board of something, or like a committee of something that you just did not care about, but you're still part of the committee, and you go to the meetings, but you don't really like offer a whole lot of like feedback or input. You're just there to make sure that you can just have that like on your resume in the future. You ever done anything like that?
Sure.
I think
you think that's what the case is?
I think Phil's very busy, is what I think. I think Phil shows up because he knows that the Game Awards are important, and I think that he offers enough. But this Game Awards honestly showed me that Xbox does not have a whole lot that they really want to give Keighley. And because of that, maybe that's how the stew is made. You throw in what you put in, or you get what you put in. Xbox did not put a whole lot in there. I was going through and watching the advertising and stuff and seeing like who was getting exclusive deals and whatnot like that. Xbox was like, hey, this is an Xbox. Those are our ads. You got Indiana Jones, you got some other stuff, but they weren't dropping any bombs. And I think a lot of that is just because they don't need the Keighley's to be their place for exclusives. I think it shows PlayStation has been struggling to find good times for when they can do their showcases. Their showcases ought to be a lot more frequent, in my opinion. I liked when they had more showcases. It told me there was a reason to play on my PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And Xbox has got their developer update probably coming in January, so there wasn't a whole lot for them to really do. So if there was a lot of representation from Sony in the Game Awards, that's because that's what Sony was wanting. They wanted to give like really big things to Jeff, because this gave them a reason to not have to put on their own production.
Mm-hmm. Jose, what do you think?
I mean, I certainly agree with a lot of those sentiments, and I want to remain positive on the show. I think that I agree that Xbox probably didn't give them a lot because they have their own developer update coming up and they have their showcase in the spring. Like that's where they want to show their stuff because it's their show. I am personally a little beefed that they didn't release Indie a little earlier, because I would have loved Indie to be represented at the show, because I think it's a great game. I think people are surprised, honestly, at how good it is, including myself. But at the same time, I think of it as Eric he was Game Positive was on our show, and he made a really great point after we had finished the live stream, was that when you think about who is actually voting for these games, and I'm not saying they're wrong. Please don't think that that's not where this is going. Mm-hmm. He said what they're looking for is an experience that is memorable to them, that they really enjoyed, that they really connected with. And he said that's exactly why Astrobot won. And that's not a knock to Astrobot. I have not played it, but I don't hate Astrobot. I will absolutely play when it comes to PC. I just don't have a PlayStation. He said so many people probably love that game because it's familiar, because it's the platforming thing. It's nostalgic because it brought back other games, because it was kind of a surprise out of nowhere. Like it was damn near a shadow drop. Like all of that really contributed to this like perfect storm. And shout out to our buddy Joe and to the Astrobot team. That's kind of cool. Like I really thought Elden Ring was going to win. I really did. Like we got that announcement about DLC counts in terms of this, and I was like, I don't know about that, man. That seems a little far-fetched. And that to Logan's point, that's why we do need better defined like categories and rules. And even our friend Travis over from Season Gaming, he said the same thing. He got to vote and he was like, dude, I really struggled because they were literally like, you can do whatever you want. And he's like, best action game, I could pick Silent Hill. They're like, absolutely, you can do that. Like I think he was just like, you need parameters for the award to feel like it's truly dedicated. And because of that, I think things felt a little off from that regard. But as I step back, that's really cool, man. That gives me hope that some of my favorite games, whether they're small teams or big teams, could also win this from Jeff's, right? Because that's kind of what happens with like the Oscars, right? Is like some of the movies that I think are the best movies of the year never have a shot. They'll never be nominated because they're not, from these big actors and these big directors and stuff like that. That's not clearly what this is, which is kind of cool to that degree. So I do think there's room to grow, I guess, is the bottom line. I do think that it wasn't a perfect show, but I think it was a better show. I think it was an entertaining show. I certainly had a great time listening to everyone. And I think we already committed next year. We're not going to live stream the Game Awards. We're going to live stream Joe's live stream of the Game Awards and comment on their commentary. I think that's our plan for next year.
I think with the Game Awards, there were a lot of awards that I don't think necessarily need to be in the Game Awards. And a lot of those are because they're not games. There are so many. When I think of the Game Awards, and I've said this in so many chats that the people that know that have been reading my comments will probably get tired of me saying this. But when I think of the Game Awards, I think of the Game Awards as a celebration of games from the actual community. Like whether you're a media outlet or you're the actual like community voting, I think of the Game Awards as a way to celebrate games from our perspective. Like there's the DICE Awards, there's the BAFTAs. You've got the like critical elements there for people that want to actually like review the games and speak to their colleagues and actually like give good feedback and celebration from an informed perspective. From the consumer's perspective, the Game Awards are ours. So if I'm going to the Game Awards, I don't want to know who best content creator is. Yeah, Queso's funny, but I don't care about that dude because half of the time, most of his commentary is all about how big he is. That's not going to inform me on what the best FPS game was this year. But that award isn't in the Game Awards, and content creator is. So what I want from Jeff is I want to look and see like, okay, best fighter, Tekken 8, awesome. Best VR game, awesome. Best esports game, don't care. I mean, maybe, yeah, a little bit, but I definitely don't care who the best athlete was. And I definitely don't care who T1 is, because T1 being a team, cool, awesome. If you're an esports fan, you already know who those are. I know who Faker is, but I don't care about knowing if he was the best this year, because to me, it's not something he's not a game. I can't go play him. There are genres that are missing that I think need to be represented in the Game Awards to let people know, like, hey, this was the best of this genre for this year. And there are noticeable differences. Like we're slamming racing and sports together, but we're keeping esports athletes. Like it just, there's oddities with these awards. And I think there needs to be a lot more revision to the categories and a lot more definition in what those are. Because I think if you're going to have awards, you should have criteria. Ongoing game should be something that is at least a year out. If Suicide Squad was good, guess what? It could have been up for best ongoing game this year. If Suicide Squad was good, like we all have things that we dislike and like about it. I like the traversal. I like the narrative. I didn't like the game as something that was like something I'm going to spend a whole lot of time into, because it wasn't, the gameplay loop wasn't good enough. It wasn't robust enough. There were not enough places to go or things to do for me to keep my interest in it. But I ran into the same issue with Helldivers. After a while, after 90 hours of playing Helldivers, I was like, okay, it's either bots or bugs, and I'm good with both of those. But I've put my time in, and now that they've got like a new race, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe this would be good. But ongoing game should be something that's like over a year, just like DLC shouldn't be game of the year, because it's not a game, it's a DLC. So that should be its own genre. There should be a lot more clarification on how these genres or how these categories work, because if you're going to be like celebrating games, then if Luke wants to know what the best side scroller was this year, what the best Metroidvania was this year, the Game Awards is not telling him. And that's what consumers would want to know, more than just what the game of the year is. What is the one that speaks to them? What is their best genre in the Game Awards, and let players have like informed opinions about that.
Logan, that's a great point. You know what that made me think of this morning when I was getting ready and showering stuff? I got my like my daily, these are the deals you can buy from IGN, like email that I get, and very top, big bold, by Astrobot Game of the Year. It wasn't the Game of Year edition, because obviously this happened 2 days ago, but like they were celebrating that this one Game of the Year, which is great. And again, I'm very happy for Astrobot's team and for the game. But it made me think of that exact problem of like, I was talking with my wife last night over dinner, and she played games when she was like younger. She was a big Super Nintendo person. She literally had a Wii. She brought the Wii into our relationship. Like, she played games, but as she's gotten older, she's definitely moved away from them where I leaned into them. And more recently, I've been getting her into Stardew Valley. Shout out to Nissa and the Cozy Games. And last night she said to me, she goes, "Man, babe, I really wish I had more time to play games. Like, I'm enjoying this a lot, and I kind of would like to explore it, because I've been talking up indie and how awesome indie is." And she's like, "I'd really love to do that. I just don't feel like I have time." And I thought of that exact moment of like, man, how cool would it be to have a list of like, here are the top 20 games in these very specific categories for this year to share with someone that was trying to get into the industry. Like, I'd love to have a best cozy game award. I would love to have a best game from a studio that's smaller than 30 people. You know what I'm saying? Something that just like you can really hone in on that. And again, I think that's the parameter thing. I'm not knocking who won. I'm happy they won. I'm just saying, like, I think with that structure, things will go better, is what I meant to say.
Yeah, definitely. Luke, how you feeling?
I think it comes down to I just think it comes down to clarity. It just comes down to clarity.
Yeah.
And so are you clear in the category? Are you clear in why? I wonder if they don't give parameters because they don't want to confine and then have say, well, we wanted to nominate this, but we couldn't. And maybe that's why they're so open-ended with it. But I would tend to agree with the critiques here. But I think it's still worth us doubling down on that there's been a massive improvement in this year's showcase versus others. The nominees, the winners, there's a lot to pick apart, good or bad, but there's something to that. I see Joe really wants us to read this, and man, he's a bully. I just want to say that right now. He bullies the nerd chat. It's crazy.
You want me to ban him?
Put about a 5 minutes.
No. But he's to think a team that used to make tech demos could grow to create a game of the year game. Incredible. That's what the show should be about. I mean, I guess I don't know why that's what the show should be. That's a factor, but I don't think that also, is the same argument. Like, it's cool for Team Asobi.
Joe,
it nails it when he says, "Oh, are you just."
No,
I want to point out that.
Sorry, I'm angry, so I want to yell at Joe. I want to be like, "Hey, Joe, when Sekiro 2 comes out and it's a studio that's 750 people, you come back with this energy about think of a team that used to make a tech demo. That's what the Game Awards should be about. It should be about good games. It shouldn't matter like how many people made it. It shouldn't matter like where they've come. It should just matter of like, is it a good game? That's my thought. Sorry, I'm gonna throw that out.
Team Sokinit saying he's happy for Team Asobi, but he still feels like 30 years of PlayStation won more than Astrobot itself. It's a shame because he's a cool little guy. I've not played it, so I certainly don't want to weigh in on the game's quality. I'm happy for the team that it won, but I think nostalgia does play a lot. and so does Zeitgeist in general. Looking at Helldivers being a good example of this. Helldivers 2 is a game I think it's fantastic. Really love that game. But let's not forget that it was a flash pan moment where the whole industry rallied around it, but then it did fade away pretty sharply. So I was a little surprised to see it win multiplayer game of the year or best ongoing when you look at something like Call of Duty that has PvP, PvE, campaign that all exists on pillars, and a battle royale element, and that's not better than Helldivers. And so sometimes I think the story of a game can overshadow the actual best of, which goes back to what's the best side scroller, what's the best actual multiplayer game to play, and those are worth pointing out. But I do appreciate the mentality and the heart behind, yay, we're happy for Team Asobi. That's cool. Like, that is cool. I like that. But I don't think it's a clear message to fans in many ways.
Yeah. No,
That's what I want to say.
This is one of those things where I think I blame more the judges and Jeff for the actual design of the Game Awards more than like the games that won. Because honestly, looking at the list, like, I do think that there were more games that were third-party games than first-party games, which I think is a narrative that isn't really being talked about. Because I was looking at like the games that had won Game of the Year versus the games that had in the past years, and seeing like, okay, well, how many of these are actually like exclusive? And yeah, PlayStation has more exclusive Game of the Years than Xbox, but most of the Game of the Years are all third parties. They're all games that exist on both platforms. And I think that speaks more to the fact that putting your stuff everywhere has more opportunity to garner favor with everyone than it does just the exclusive consoles. And that being said, like, you should definitely have more third-party companies out there producing games for more platforms, because yes, you can get really good experiences in first party, but that doesn't always guarantee that that's going to win. Like, what was it last year? It Takes Two won Game of the Year. Joseph Ferris's game, was that last year or the year before?
2 years ago, because Baldur's Gate was last year.
Okay, that's right. Yes. So Baldur's Gate, third-party game, finally made it to Xbox after a little help from Phil Spencer. But, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 won. And then before that, It Takes Two won. And then before that, I'm trying to remember what it was. But it's one of those things. It's like, these are all there. It's yes, PlayStation has more marketing, but also Xbox has something coming in January, so they don't need to. And Nintendo's holding off until the Switch 2, because as we saw this year, no one really cared about the stuff that Nintendo was making, like Jamboree and Echoes of Wisdom. Like, those are good games, but it's not Mario, it's not Zelda proper Zelda, like with Link and stuff like that. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of people that don't necessarily jump in because they're waiting for the Switch 2. They're waiting for Mario Kart 9. They're waiting for, Super Mario Odyssey 2, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Side note, when are we getting the Switch 2, dude? Like, seriously, man.
It's got to be March, right? Like March.
Man. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail. Just
the Switch 2 is going to be linked with the Hollow Knight Silksong announcement.
So they're gonna have a special edition, like Silksong 2 version that's got both Silk and
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight on the Joy-Cons. That'd be cool.
There's a lot of copium in the chat.
Can we talk about the pants now?
All right, we will briefly reference the attire that took place, but then I'd like to talk about some of the stuff that we saw that we were excited for game-wise, because I think we've done a lot of critiquing, and while I think there's relevant, good conversation here, there was a lot to celebrate, and I do want to make sure we give due time for that. But the major critique that I have is putting the 6'3"
dude
voice actor whose name, oh my gosh, I can't believe Troy Baker. God, 6'3" Troy Baker in what can only be described as a disaster of pants next
corporate
to
Jinkos.
It was something next to Todd Howard, and it was the funniest thing ever. And I just get a kick out of how Harrison Solo doesn't care about anything. Harrison Solo is his name, by the way. And so I just get a kick out of all that. He just does not care. But it was the funniest like moment because it was so cool. but also like, what is happening here? I don't know, man. It was wild. Troy Baker is legitimately huge, and Todd Oxtra is not Todd Oxtra. Sorry, Todd. I just read your comment.
Todd Howard is also actually short. His own admission.
It was something, but Harrison Solo Jones, Indy, is just hilarious to watch when anybody, because he wants to do none of the stuff that people want him to do. He's just like scroll the teleprompter. It's funny. I thought that was a funny moment though, and a good way to start off the show. It was fun.
It was impressive that Jeff managed to get him away from the nursing home long enough and outside the Marvel purview. Because who knows, like, what other little stints he's going to be doing as the president of the United States in the upcoming Captain America movie as the Red Hulk. So he's going to be back. So watching the trailer for Captain America and seeing like Harrison Ford like on it, and then watching the Game Awards last night and watching him like just kind of like kind of shaky hand, kind of wave at the prompter, not really sure like should he be shaking Troy Baker's hand. Troy Baker's probably feeling like this is the greatest moment ever. There was a cognitive dissonance that I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's so strange.
It was amusing. What about you, Jose? Did you enjoy that moment?
I enjoyed it, man. Of course. Like, look, man, you're right. Harrison Holt is up there, dude. But we have so much to thank for him in like nerd culture. Like there are so many IPs, not just indie, right? That like, and Star Wars, they're even beyond that. And I think, as much as I know some people are making fun of Jeff Ford, it still is cool, dude. Like, you know who's not getting Harrison Ford? The Nerd Chat, right? Yeah. Trophy Room. The Xbox expansion has no offense. I mean, maybe one day. But like that's still very cool to get that to happen. I think what's been a little bit funny is that like all of the guests minus Snoop are like older, you know what I mean? Like there's not anyone like prominent, like it's not like they got Sabrina Carpenter to come out or Jenna Ortega or something like that. Not that that's relevant to gaming.
That would have been cool. I
understand that. But just I do think it was very cool. And I thought it was a really nice, the height thing aside, to have all of them out there. Like shout out to Troy Baker, dude. And again, I know you haven't played indie, Luke, but when you jump in, it's impressive, dude. It is really impressive how good how much he sounds like him. Like you just forget that you're not watching Harrison Ford talk as indie, because also the model's so good and stuff like that. So I'm happy for him, man. It's cool. And I don't know if you saw that meme that Ains posted in our chat where they're like, they even exacerbate the heights even more.
Did funny. They?
It's good.
That's
humor,
funny.
Dude.
Yeah,
that is funny. All right, gents. Well, I want to talk about the games. Before I do, though, I am going to read off our patrons here. I want to celebrate them, thank them for supporting the show. They have really come through in the last few weeks. And I know that times are tight for a lot of people, and including us, and it's just appreciative that we get a chance to celebrate them. So I want to read off and thank our Patreon supporters from tiers 2 and 3. So if you will allow me one moment. Big thank you to those who went to patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass, including Aaron G, Nick Bentley, The Scarecrow, Ken Rosing, Fabian Winkler, Stephen H, Edward, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Rob Frawley II, Tao Zochi, Nicholas Johnson, Randolph Thor 19, Hafrican, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, Rick Davis, Matt Valdez, Red Beast, Dano 12, DJ Hero, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, and lastly, Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler. Thank you all for supporting XEP, for going out of your way to go the extra mile. We appreciate you. If any of you would like to support XEP, please feel free to hit the like button, share, or if you're so inclined, drop a super chat or a subscription. It means the absolute world. Stand by for a moment. I'm going to be gifting a couple channel memberships as we talk about this. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the games that we enjoyed from the showcase, things that we liked seeing. I know it was in the pre-show with Sydney Goodman, but I was really excited myself to see Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. I thought that looked really cool. I thought that could have been a show proper announcement. That was one that I was very stoked for. What did you guys think?
Dude, great Steam game, by the way, for your Steam Deck.
Ooh, good call.
I think that it's I don't think of the Sydney Goodman stuff as like separate from the main show anymore. Like it's expected. It's something that they've given her like full reign and control over, you know, like what is actually shown. So for me, I'm actually looking at the pre-show as like just the roll up, the warm up act for this. But like, yeah, that the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is amazing. And from the same team that did Blasphemous and TMNT Shredder's Revenge. So the quality is going to be there. If you're into side scrollers and you like Ninja Gaiden, like, man, what a callback. Like that is the heart and soul of what Ninja Gaiden is. I mean, you know, we have like Ninja Gaidens in like the Xbox era and stuff, but like if you go back to the Genesis and stuff, like that is what Ninja Gaiden is. And I'm glad that they are kind of bringing some of the fans something like that, kind of in the same way that Metroid Dread was brought back as like a proper Metroid game in a time when, you know, most people were probably growing up with the Metroid Prime series and probably didn't go back to like the Super Nintendo for Super Metroid and stuff like that.
Chippo?
I second all that, dude. Like Ninja, I haven't played Ninja Gaiden since the 360, I think, and it was awesome, but so hard. But even in the 3D realm, I missed the 2D realm because that was also incredibly hard back on like the NES and stuff and Super Nintendo. So this was cool, man. I'm very excited for this game. I think that's also just a hallmark of getting a little bit older. Like I still do love some of the AAA stuff, but I'm liking a lot more of the smaller games because it just fits better with my time. And so I'm excited to see they highlighted a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, for all our talk about how great Indy is, and it makes you feel like that is Harrison Ford, that's a graybeard comment, right? Like that's an old thing. And then like I just finished up the review and playing of Power Rangers Reader's Rewind, and for all the problems, man, I'm having a blast. I'm a Power Ranger. That's fun. Like I'm loving that. So Ninja Gaiden did have me hyped. Shout out to Tim Purr in the chat saying all old games coming back for the graybeards. So many old franchises making a comeback. Absolutely right. Turok among them. I thought that was a cool little one to
yeah, that was really surprising.
That was really neat.
I wasn't expecting that.
Were you guys in the? Yeah, I was like, oh, Ark, here we go, and I was like, yes, Turok, cool to see, to see.
Yeah, there were a lot just in the preview stuff. I tried out, or I downloaded the Longleaf Valley, which was the Trees Please game. It's a mobile game. It's like a merge game where the more you play, the more little tokens you get, and then if you use those tokens to like buy a tree, then they'll go plant a tree.
Logan, did you see that?
Yeah.
Tao Zochi coming in.
Tao Zochi just dropped a $100 super chat. YouTube money's for the hardware. I'll catch this podcast during my overnight shift. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your games.
That's awesome.
Tao Zochi, man. That thank you. It's not often Luke Lohr is speechless. Thank you, Tao. I don't have the words, but that is incredible, appreciated, and I'm very kind. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy the hard work that we're putting in on the hardware reviews. Thank you, man. That was amazing. That was incredible.
That's awesome. Very appreciative.
Yeah, I don't get speechless often. That is an incredibly kind and generous gift, and so thank you. I hope we do right by you, my friend. We really do try to do right by you guys, and so keep your eyes peeled. So thank you. What were we talking about?
So yeah,
I'm so sorry, guys.
Ninja Gaiden came in for the pre-show. We had One Move Away, which was a cozy game to talk about just kind of Tetris your way with boxes. We had Slay the Spire 2 announced coming in 2025. Kind of surprising. The graphics look a lot better this time, so I'm really happy. Whole different build up of cards that you now take and now have to augment and stuff like that. We had the Longleaf Valley game. Dave the Diver had DLC announced, Going Into the Jungle. That's coming in late 2025. Thick as Thieves. Luke, did you see this one? Was this one that you checked out?
This was the Thick as Thieves. I did see this one. I'm trying to remember somebody very famous. Warren Spector. That's right. Deus Ex. Thank you for doing the notes, by the way, Logan. I saw this one and thought that it looked really cool, but in no way, shape, or form do I think it's going to have legs. Not because it's not well made or doesn't look cool, doesn't have the name or panache or anything, but it worries me when I see PvPvE in a genre that's very crowded, and we've seen this entire year games kind of struggle no matter their quality, right? Like there are a lot of reasons Concord didn't land. There's a lot of reasons for it, but it wasn't game quality, right? It was not the quality of the game or the animations. There's a lot of reasons Suicide Squad did not do well, right? And my own bitterness towards that game existing here in this conversation, but the quality of Suicide Squad and of Concord cannot be denied. The animations were fluid, the gameplay was wonderful, and there's a lot to celebrate in those games, and they're both dead now or about to be dead. Suicide Squad, although I will be checking out Deathstroke just on account of it being a Batman villain. But when I see a game like this, I worry that same fate awaits, because the genre and the demands to steal from those live service elements are so high. The only game we're seeing make headway into this at the moment is Marvel Rivals, and the only game that I can think of that has done this to a big degree prior was Helldivers 2, and now Helldivers 2 is a footnote compared to what it was. And that is not a diss, right? Like Helldivers is very successful for its budget, for what it was doing. It just came out. It's coming out with new content, wonderful showcase at the Game Awards. But I worry about a game like Thick as Thieves, because what it takes to enter into and remain in the realm of live service is extremely demanding. And so I worry for that.
I think that's fair. I was thinking about, when I was actually doing up the show notes, that this would have made a great Batman game. You've got all the villains trying to steal something, while Batman is kind of like an AI character that's kind of looming. But you've got like the little patrols of the Gotham Knights police, kind of like trying to keep an eye out for Catwoman, or like the Joker or Harley or something. And you get to play like some of these different villains, and actually get to kind of experience the Arkham Knight from their perspective, kind of in line with Suicide Squad. But you're constantly like, that's the first opening scene in the campaign for Suicide Squad, where you're going through like the Batman museum, like of his stories and stuff like that, but full on, like, have to go try and nab something from, like some sort of museum or a bank, like you have to go rob a bank, and you have to try and do it before the other Batman villains, and then just, like go from there. That's where I was going with Thick of Thieves. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is cool. It'll be interesting. It kind of reminds me of Deathloop, in a sense, but it'll be interesting to kind of see like how things go with it, and if War Inspector's name is going to carry more weight than other games in similar genres.
That's a good point, man. It looks cool. I don't know if I'll play a lot of it. I'll definitely try it out, but that's I guess that's the hard part with all these games, is just the timepiece.
Yeah. Something to just throw out there, because Joe is in chat, the trophy room, saying 30,000 concurrent players is not a footnote. Just because they're not in our mind's eye doesn't mean it's out of the zeitgeist. A good point. A lot of games would absolutely love to have 30,000 concurrent players. I think when I'm speaking, I'm comparing it to where it was, and by comparison, it is absolutely a footnote to where it was in terms of zeitgeist. But again, that is a comparative statement, not a financial statement, so I'll acknowledge that. Any other thoughts on? Go ahead, Logan.
No, go ahead.
I was going to move us on.
Yeah. Jump in.
Thick as Thieves was definitely one to look at. I saw a couple other things that stood out. I don't need to go through every game, by the way, guys. But I want to point out Witcher 4. We must talk about Witcher 4, given the excitement and the incredible showcase there. That was the coolest showcase for me, was Witcher 4.
Really?
Seeing that trailer, seeing what CD Projekt Red is cooking up, it makes me that much more excited to go back into Phantom Liberty, because that's again on my backlog, Indy and Phantom Liberty and a few others. Joe, just because you're my son doesn't mean you can speak to me that way. So when I saw what Witcher 4 was doing, I was incredibly thrilled. I loved the messaging of like the gods didn't ask you to be a sacrifice or anything like that. And I loved the messaging that was in there. I thought Ciri looked incredible. I did not, maybe it's because I'm on Blue Sky, I didn't see a single person complaining about a female protagonist or her not being attractive enough or anything. I just saw people being excited, which made me that much more thrilled. I'm so stoked for Witcher 4. Witcher 3 to me is in the top 5 best games ever made. It is perhaps the best game ever made in my mind. Like, your top 5s always kind of depend, like on your mood of the day, your favorite movie or whatever. But like, I count God of War 2018 and The Witcher 3 and Super Mario Brothers 3 kind of in my best games ever made.
This is why we're friends.
What's that?
This is why we're friends.
Ah, there you go. So Witcher 4, it very much makes me stoked. And I love seeing Ciri rocking it in here. And it makes good sense canonically from what I'm aware of in the Witcher series. So I'm stoked for this one. I thought it looked incredible. Chipotle, would you mind going first on this one? What was your take?
I mean, so I played Witcher. I've not played Witcher 1 and 2. So I'll be very honest about that. Not because I don't want to. I wasn't part of those when they came out. I did play Witcher 3. Shout out to our friend Bubba Boy who loved it and got me into it. And I was telling our friend chat the other night, I am pretty sure that I didn't finish it, but I literally got like 97% complete, like icons. And if you know Witcher 3, the icons in that game are like, they put Ubisoft to shame. Like it's actually pretty crazy. And I think what happened was just something else came out and I like got sidetracked and then I've just never gone back. I might go back and finish it here now, especially with this coming out. It's a fantastic game, dude. And I'm not even going to comment on the woke stuff. I think people that say that stuff are just moronic. Like, what you're like, dude, stop it.
I didn't see any of it except Joe's joke in one of our chats, which is what let me know that it's out there. But I've seen none of it on Blue Sky, and I've been really happy about that because, like, there's something to be said for downgrading someone's visuals. I think we talked about it with Star Wars Outlaws, but like, Ciri's badass. Do awesome stuff. Be Ciri.
Ciri is badass. Like straight up, I would not mess with Ciri. I mean, I would mess with most women to be fair. But it looks really great, dude. I cannot wait for the thing. We've all been waiting for Witcher 4. We knew this was coming at some point. Like they weren't going to let the franchise die. And next gen stuff. Witcher 3 looked great for when it came out, and I don't even know what year it came out, but it's quote unquote old at this point. But definitely go check it out if you find it. That'd be a great winter Steam sale, dude. Like that'd be cool and to just have on your Steam Deck, and when you want to jump in for a small thing or 20 minutes, that'd be cool to do over time. But
I would sale on the Switch too.
Yeah,
which I don't know who's going there, but
yeah, I have to wonder I wonder if people buy games on the Switch that are of like the Witcher 3 style caliber that are informed, like because like we talk a lot about Nintendo. Their audience, I don't think, is the podcast community, right? They're not the PC, the Steam Deck community. They're not the Xboxes, the PlayStations. So like when they see it, are they like, cool, let's play that? I wonder who's buying Witcher 3 that has a Steam Deck or a PC or anything. I don't know. So, but I'm stoked. Logan, what about you? Witcher 4, what are you thinking?
Oh, dude. I feel kind of bad because I've only ever watched the show and read the books. I haven't actually played much of Witcher 3. So like,
why is that?
It's daunting. No, it's just a daunting game, man. You look at that and you like, as soon as you get done with the Griffin, you get into town, you do your first little like board or like card game battle, and then they are like, all right, go talk to these people, and then next thing you know, you're like on a huge adventure, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if I have the time to be able to get through this right now. So it just hasn't been like in the mood, but it's very much like, I mean, I own it everywhere. So it's one of those ones where I just need to actually go and play it and actually like spend the time to get through it because I want to. I mean, I love the books, and as far as I know, the Witcher 3 and 1 and 2 are very much like in line with a lot of the stories from the books, because it's a bit of an anthology as far as like the storytelling aspect goes. But yeah, I definitely want to get to know what happens with Ciri and stuff, because seeing this is like, oh, okay, well, I knew Ciri was going to, she was becoming a Witcher in Witcher 3, and I know like her story and her background from the books, but like I don't know what she's going to do as a Witcher. And from all intents purposes, it looks like she's a little bit jaded about humans, very much in line with Geralt. So doesn't quite surprise me there, you know, very much like her adopted father in this instance. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. The fact that it's in Unreal Engine speaks volumes to the quality of like Lumen and tessellation and you know, the ray tracing and streaming capabilities of Unreal right now. I think that they're doing a lot of things that people that have like custom engines really should take notice, you know, looking at you, Bethesda. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing like what happens with Witcher 4. I will force myself to take time to sit down and play Witcher 3 as well as like the DLCs after playing through Phantom Liberty and seeing the caliber that comes after they've like got the game out and they're actually working on like the DLC parts of it. Like CD Projekt Red, they make good DLC apparently. So I need to go do Witcher 3s.
Put down COD, try Witcher 3, get to the Bloody Baron. And once you've gotten there and played that mission, I think you will have an idea of whether, one, you want to continue, but two, I think you'll have captured enough of what Witcher 3 is to know why it was so special.
Yeah.
Because it is a 10-year-old game at this point, even with its wonderful updates. But I think you have a chance to really see something special. Coffee Chick saying, no, we're not putting down COD. Look, you guys are obsessively into that game. It's cool to see the bond, but I do want you to find the time to check out the Bloody Baron, because I think you will appreciate it that much more. To me, that's the best writing I've ever seen from CDPR. The acknowledgement that I did not play Blood and Wine or Phantom Liberty yet. So it's a high bar. It's a high bar.
When I'm not playing Call of Duty, I'm playing Indiana Jones right now.
Nice. I mean, that's
excellent choice.
Excellent choice. Yeah. It's not a knock. I'm saying I think if you are trying to investigate Witcher, get to the Bloody Baron. You'll be pleased.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to kind of get like an idea of like, this should be the marker for Witcher 3. I mean, honestly, like playing through the first little bit of Witcher 3, I think if I remap the buttons a little bit to make it a little more kind of normal to today's standards, then I think it'll be good. But for all intents and purposes, I think Witcher 3 is a really fun game. I've had really good time with it so far. No different than any time that I've ever spent in like a Far Cry or Assassin's Creed game. Like it's just an open world, run around, go knock stuff off the list kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Good call. Elden Ring, I think, is kind of you're talking about like big RPGs, right? Elden Ring, Night Rain was next up kind of on the list. And I got to tell you, Jeff Keighley, man, you followed up the CDPR with the FromSoft, and I thought it was really cool to see that game just exist, I guess is the right thing, so quickly. I got a kick out of the whole, like, it's standalone, but still, it was dope. So I guess the question now becomes, were you excited to see kind of a co-op Elden Ring adventure that's a roguelike, or were you like, I'm passing on this one?
I care not for Elden Ring. I've tried to play a little bit of it, and I'm sure that it's great for everyone else, but I really hate the menu system. And I don't know. Maybe one day I'll go back to Elden Ring, but it's not my game. I've got so many other great games to dive into that for me, like, I'm glad that there's more Elden Ring coming. It's interesting that Bandai Namco is the one that's kind of working with them on this. So it'll be interesting to see like how that works out. But I think it'll be interesting to see if Elden Ring fans latch onto this the way they did with Shadow of the Erd Tree. Because the same thing came up after Elden Ring 1. Everyone was like, everything FromSoft is amazing. I am 100% going into Armored Core. This is going to be excellent. And then Armored Core came and went, and nobody really talked about it. And I'm like, where's all the FromSoft fans at? And this is kind of like, it's a FromSoft game, but are you going to jump into it when you realize it's not the next Souls game?
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of
what about you, Chibo? Were you?
I was very excited, but I was also like weirdly confused because I was like, there's no way this is Elden Ring 2 before we knew it was Night Rain. I was like, this is not. I was like, is it a DLC? And then they were like, it's not a DLC. And I was like, what? Then what could this possibly be? How could they have time to make another game? And I think what they're trying to do is to get more people in, right? I think that FromSoft, as popular as they are among our friends in our crowd, everybody knows they're pretty tough games. Like they're you have to be kind of a specific person to want to play them. And I wonder if this is a way to try to get more people into the lore ahead of whatever they have planned for the future, however many years out. I mean, I definitely will jump in, like full transparency. I signed up for the network test, which you can do, anybody can do. If you go to Bandai Namco's website right now, if you want to try to get on some early stuff with it. The other interesting thing about this is that a lot of people have already played this game. There's already like I don't know if it's the Golden Master, but there's already a playable version out that like outlets have been able to play and have already been sharing their thoughts on it and stuff. And very cool stuff. I think to Logan's point about the menu system in all the Elden Ring games, is they've really simplified a lot of stuff. Like a couple examples are there's set classes, so you can't really customize your character exactly how you want it. You just pick a class and go. When you level up, you don't have to pick specific skills and things. You're just leveling up 42, 43, 44. And it automatically does all that for you. So again, I think they're really trying to focus on kind of the game and the lore, if that's even a thing in Elden Ring. I don't understand the lore. Sorry, Ains. It seems like
I beat the game, but I'm not an Elden Lord because I chose one thing versus okay.
Does it have lore? I didn't realize it had lore. I thought you were just a dude killing stuff.
It's so I think that's kind of what they're going for. What I will say, Elden Ring for me I've played both Elden Ring and I can't remember the DLC's name right now. I'm blanking. Whatever.
Shadow of the Erdtree.
Thank you, Shadow of the Erdtree. Had a great time, like genuinely had a great time by myself. And, there were many nights where we'd be in Discord chatting with each other, just playing our own games. And, that's such a fun thing. I can tell you when we got to the end of Shadow, and I had beaten it and we were helping Dan beat it and then helping Bacon beat it. And we were like in each other's games. We actually had a great time, like legitimately laughing. And like when we finally would beat it, we're like cheering kind of quietly because it's like 1 a.m. in our houses and stuff like that with our families. But it was super cool. So I do think there is some appeal here. What I think is the big challenge with any game where to progress, you have to be with other people, is the time piece, right? Because like, again, I mean, literally in just our 4 friends of the nerd chat, I think we have like almost 10 platinums or 1,000 out of 1,000s across FromSoft games, maybe more. But to get 3 of us together to play is a challenge. Like that's very hard to do. And so I think we'll certainly all try it. I would imagine if the matchmaking is pretty decent, that will help. You know what I'm saying? But that's always a grab bag too, right? Sometimes you get people who are just there to like be chaotic, and like that doesn't make you feel good with the game itself. So I'm excited. I think I'll play it. I'm happy to talk about it, but we'll see what comes of it because it's very different.
That sounds a lot better, honestly, with the different classes and the easy leveling system. Like, I think I would much rather jump into something like that and just kind of work through like a Gauntlet Legends kind of game in Elden Ring compared to like proper Elden Ring.
I wonder if it doesn't appeal to you, Logan, because I'm 160 hours in Elden Ring. Love it. Don't enjoy the genre per se as the genre. Like I enjoyed Lords of the Fallen. I enjoyed Elden Ring. There are times where I enjoy that stuff, but it is not one that I'm like, yes, FromSoft. So that makes me in the minority of those who have played Elden Ring, right? And I wonder if this doesn't offer appeal to those who are interested. I would say that I'm watching this one with casual interest, but I was not thrilled. It was one of those, But we also must remember that when I see Power Rangers, I'm like, yes, TMNT, yes, one of the best games ever made in Elden Ring. All right, we got a new one. So I acknowledge that it's a little bit strange.
So if Zed, was it Zed, is in Elden Ring, if you could get a cosmetic skin that was like Lord Zed in Elden Ring, you'd be a lot more interested in jumping back in. Green Ranger.
Oh my God! First of all, if it was Green Ranger, I'd lose it. Right? Like, let me just bring the one childhood toy I never got to have, and now I have 2 of them. Here we are. Right? Yeah, if Lord Zed was out, I'd be stoked. But either way, I think that's going to do gangbuster numbers. I'm really excited for everyone else that is excited. I know Bacon and a lot of the nerd chat people are stoked. I know Joe is stoked. I'm here for it and interested for sure. A couple other ones that I did want to call out. I thought it was funny to see Borderlands 4 showcase there, because I don't know who the Borderlands audience still is in mass, but I'm really happy for them. I know our buddy Kev is very excited. I think the industry kind of collectively was like, when Randy Pitchford walked out there. And I don't know how much of that is deserved versus not, because I know that I am like that with him also, but it's just kind of such a strange one. But I was happy for those people that got to see Borderlands 4. I just find the vibe. I think I just grew out of Borderlands. I think I just grew away from it. I was stoked to see Steel Hunters, and when they said Starfall, I thought they were talking Titanfall, and this was the next Titanfall. Turns out it's the like World of Tanks developers, so I don't know how excited I am for those. But those two did kind of give me an eye raise, as it were. Anything for theirs?
I already signed up for I already signed up for the beta access to Steel Hunters, so I am very much going to be diving into that game at some point this weekend to play that, because stomping around in mechs, like, you remember that King of Monsters game that you were really fascinated with a while back?
I love that game. Yeah, that's Gigabash, and I still like that game.
Steel Hunters, same thing, but just think like offbeat Transformers.
Like Pacific Rim, kind of like kaijus and monsters. That's sweet.
Yep.
Like, you're going to be fighting multiple types of mechs, and you're going to be able to just customize your character or customize your mech how you want it and choose how you want to play. But yeah, I'm signed up for that. A lot of destructible buildings as you tromping around. So think like you guys remember the ending to Gears 4 when you get the big robot and you get to run around and stomp. That's kind of where I'm thinking Steel Hunters is going to land.
All right.
You have to let us know, man. I'm excited to hear more about that.
Yeah.
No, the other stuff, Luke, I thought one of the most bizarre trailers was the one from Gen Design, and I'm not knocking it because I think it looked really cool. That's the company that did Ico and shout out the Colossus, but we see this cool animatic like trailer where this person's like crawling up what becomes the head of like a giant mech basically, and then it takes off, like the spinal cord rips out and stuff, and then it's like unnamed game, and I was like, that's bold. That seems very not that I don't want to see that, because again, it was cool, but like, you don't even have a name for your game. That seems like a very much first thing. But immediately right after that, one of my favorite trailers was Outer Worlds 2. Like, their level of humor, I think, is just rings so nicely with me, and it's something we don't have too much of in the gaming space right now. So I'm ashamed to say I didn't play Outer Worlds 1.
Nor did I. No interest.
Did you? Did you play Starfield?
Yeah.
Okay, go play Outer Worlds. It's a smaller, more funny experience. It is just Starfield, but like with with guidance, like semi-linear guidance on that. So like, yeah, if you like Starfield and you like the humor for what you saw with Outer Worlds 2.
May I ask, Logan, when you're suggesting Starfield as a comparison point, Starfield can be many things. Like, I play it as a combat game where I'm flying around in a spaceship and jumping in with my guns and sniping people. That's what I play Starfield as. Others play it as this lore-based, dialogue, persuasion-heavy type approach. When you're suggesting Starfield as a comparison here, how are you offering it?
I am offering it with everything except for the ship combat. Like, if the persuasion, the choices that you make, the encumbrance, the combat, the action, proper like reputations. So like, if you do right by one, it's going to harm another one, and that's going to factor into where you can and can't go. Just like with Obsidian, there is only one character that you can't kill in that game. And they admittedly they said that, you know, you could kill anyone you want and still finish the game. There is one character you can't kill
because they're like a Mr. X person, or because it's like crucial to the game.
It's a crucial to the game kind of thing. Gotcha. But and it's very funny because I've purposely tried to kill him to prove that you can't finish the game without him. It is impossible to actually kill him. So that is one of those things where, but the humor from the trailer is in all of the dialogue for Outer Worlds. Like, the characters are just hilarious. I love that game. The expansions are really good as well too. I think I got all of it on free for like from Epic at one point. So like, if if you like Starfield and you like the Outer Worlds trailer for the humor, you're going to really like Outer Worlds 1. And Outer Worlds 2 looks like just the refinement.
That's sweet. Yeah, that's when I'll probably look for on like a Steam sale at this point, or like an Epic sale or something like that. So that'll be great. Yeah, Luke, were there other ones you thought, man, that were great? I mean, like you're right. If you didn't watch the awards, guys, there's tons and tons of games. Like there's way too many to even list.
Yeah, there were. I saw good updates to stuff. I thought it was neat seeing Sega kind of on stage, like getting to showcase new stuff for Virtua Fighter, and I think they had one other one. There was
the Sonic racing game that was literally like 15 seconds, and then he's like, "Well, that's all we got."
Don't knock it, man. Those Sonic racing games are good. They're good Mario Kart-esque games. Racing Transform remains my favorite. But it was interesting that they put Shadow. They're putting Shadow front and center there. Hey, Happy Cloud Gamer agreeing with me. The Doom add-on is amazing. If you missed the first part of the show, we talked a lot about that.
Yep.
That makes me happy. Let's see. There was one that was there that I did want to spotlight that I thought was cool. Oh, I think we have to talk about Intergalactic. I think that is absolutely important for us to mention, because Intergalactic is the new game out of Naughty Dog, and make no mistake that Naughty Dog has impact on our industry. You can say what you want about Neil Druckmann, good or bad. I have my own thoughts on The Last of Us, but there's no denying its impact and its quality. Those things are nigh unrivaled in our industry. So seeing Intergalactic was fascinating to me, because I did not see it live. I had gone to sleep by this point, and I came back and watched it this morning and saw some of the reactions. And I am very torn on the product placement, but very thrilled to see Naughty Dog's caliber making a sci-fi game, because the sword looks amazing. The visual design, fascinating. I really have some like passive worry about it being a little bit Concord-esque or Guardians of the Galaxy-esque in terms of tone. But that is not fair to judge a game based on one trailer. It's kind of like pigeonholing Perfect Dark or Fable and then finding out later on it's not what you thought. So I'm trying to reserve some judgment there, learning some lessons from previous things. But I thought it looked really cool, and I'm interested in this one. So I'm curious what you guys think about it now that you've seen it.
Good luck.
Dude. Tell me that you're making a Cowboy Bebop game without telling me you're making me a Cowboy Bebop game, because holy shit, this looks like a fantastic freaking game. I can't wait.
Cowboy Bebop an anime? I don't know.
It is an anime, yes.
Okay, nerd.
They did come from the Japan. Yeah. Intergalactic looks amazing. It looks like the perfect blend of what I enjoy about Ready Player One, which is kind of the mashup of the 80s and 90s aesthetics. Mm-hmm. Product placement, don't care, whatever. If you want to root it in our time, in our world and stuff like that, mm-hmm. Fantastic. Something that I love about it was the use of music. Like Outer Worlds 2 trailer did a fantastic job using music that we're familiar mm-hmm. with to showcase the action in their game. This one did the same thing. I like the idea that this merc has an agent, and that the agent looks like she's straight out of a 80s villain like lineup. Yeah. Big shoulder pads. We got the eye patch. We got the it felt very Blade Runner, like it was really good about that. So I was really excited to see this. The fact that Naughty Dog's doing it is fantastic. I can't wait to play it. It will be the reason why I keep a PlayStation around in this case, for like Ghost of Yokai and Intergalactic and Wolverine. Mm-hmm. It's why I keep my PlayStation around for these games. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to find out more about why she's hunting this team of missing aces, the 5 aces, and the fact mm-hmm. that the aces are in dangerous territories, and that each one is considered very high as far as like their threat level goes. So mm-hmm. I kind of want to know, like, is this a revenge story? Like, is she trying to get back at her old teammates? Is she trying to just hunt these guys down because she needs the profit for a different motive? Like, really interesting premise, fantastic presentation. Can't wait to find out what it is, because I think the story itself is going to be the thing that draws me in the most.
Mm-hmm. I tend to agree with a lot of what you said as far as the aesthetic, the Blade Runner vibe. I'm surprised you don't care about the product placement because you're like Mr. Legislation and such, but I've seen it done really well. I think about the first Alan Wake. I've seen it done poorly. I think about Death Stranding, goods and bads on a couple levels there. So I'm kind of mixed on that one. I think it was the product placement that threw me for a loop, but there's no denying how good it looks. So I don't know. Jose, make sure I'm not skipping you. Did you have any other final thoughts on that one?
I mean, I was just say the product placement didn't bother me. I understand why people were bothered by it. I understand how that also played a little bit into the narrative because Astrobot was announced right after that people were like, oh, see, Sony, they just bought the show. That's a joke, Joe. I'm not arguing that. I think it's fine because what's the alternative? It's some no-name company that never existed and like it doesn't matter. Like, cool, that's great for Sony, man. And to be fair, like at least for me, like Sony was like a name brand you did want in the 80s and 90s. Like it was like I mean, it still is in many ways, but like I think that does fit that aesthetic quite a bit. I was crazy to see CDs. That was more shocking to me. I was like, what the hell is CDs anymore? That was interesting. Here's what I'll say. I think this looks very cool. I love Naughty Dog. I loved all the Uncharted games. Like I think I'm very excited to play this. My only hesitation is Starfield. And what I mean by that is Starfield looked so gorgeous, all the stuff that we saw early on. And this is very different than Starfield. Please don't think I'm saying it is. But the gameplay of Starfield didn't totally hit for me. I loved the game. I had a great time. I have no regrets, but the gameplay didn't hit. And I think that an animated trailer just doesn't give you a whole lot. Like I loved the Ripley vibe. I like the female like protagonist. I think the story's cool. I like the Cowboy Bebop stuff too. I agree with you on that, Logan. But we haven't seen anything yet. So like I don't feel like I can make a good judgment about whether I'm going to like the game. I think the story's cool. I think the plot's awesome. I like where it's going for sure. But that's the piece I want to look for. Next is seeing some gameplay. So I'm very excited. Just I'm hesitant because I've fallen into that trap many times before. So I'm happy for Naughty Dog. Great to see their name though.
Were people upset because it had the Sony player as the product placement? Was that the call out for that? No one cares the fact that the ship was a Porsche.
The Porsche and the Adidas were what stood out in my mind, but that is again having watched it this morning and just recently. And like
that's wild to me.
Care. Like to me it's less egregious than I think it was Death Stranding where it was like was it Monster? And it's like, oh, that looks terrible. And I'm in the minority, but I don't think Death Stranding graphically is appealing.
So to your point, Luke, I see where you're coming from on that because I agree. Like in Death Stranding, everything is just washed clean. There's very little like branding or anything like that. Her ship is like a testament to like my room, like your room, like Jose's room. Like there's product placement in our room because that's where our fandoms lie. Right. And her aesthetic is all about her fandoms. And it's clear, like, yeah, she's a fan of Adidas. She has a CD player that's made by Sony. Probably came with the Porsche. So I don't see like the product placement being so, because she's wearing a jacket too that has like a chess piece, the knight chess piece on the back of it, and I'm trying to like remember, like, is that tied to anything? Is that part of like the aces that she's like hunting down? Was she part of that? So it's like I want to go back and watch the trailer to try and piece together a little stuff from the little bits of secondary information that we have from that, because it's such an interesting world to me that you have like such a. It's what I liked about Cyberpunk was your room started to become more like yours the more stuff that you did in it. And because of that, it feels more lived in. And I think that that's a truer representation of how people actually are compared to the Death Stranding, where Norman Reedus looks exactly like Norman Reedus and is drinking a Monster in a very sterile world.
Yeah, maybe that's because of the sterility, if that's the word, it stood out very much so, and here it does look very lived in, very appropriate. Good call on that one.
It'll be a huge miss on Naughty Dog's part if they don't partner with Adidas to make that shoe, or at least some limited run of them. Like the light up Adidas high top was super dope. Like I'm a little bit of a sneakerhead. I just don't spend the money on it because I spend it on gaming, but I thought that was rad for sure.
Rational.
It did look cool. Yeah, we're all a little irrational. It's just a matter of how and where, you know. So, So let's to close out our conversation here, I'd like to tie it and loop it directly to Xbox here. Having watched the show, acknowledging the fallacies and failings of previous Game Awards and summer showcases from Jeff Keighley's event, seeing the lack of Xbox, acknowledging the growth in this event, knowing or believing, I should say, that we're going to have a quarter 1 Xbox showcase. Were you bothered at all by the lack of Xbox presence here, either in victories or in marketing or trailers?
No, because I know what's coming down the line and I'm not too worried about it. I do think that, like there are games that are going to be coming to Xbox that were showed off in this showcase. So yeah, it didn't have Xbox branding on it, but I'm still going to be able to play a lot of the games that were shown off. So I'm not too worried about, because like Dispatch, the Mafia, the Old Country game, Okami 2, those are games that I'm going to be able to eventually play on Xbox. Stage Fright, Splitgate 2, Onimusha, First Berserker Kazan, the Dying Light, the Beast, Turok Origins. These are all games that I have no doubt that I'm going to get to have on my Xbox at some point. So for me, yeah, I think the advertising from Xbox was weak. Because it's just like, this is an Xbox, and that seems to be their narrative going forward, is they just want to showcase like what screens are eventually going to be able to play Xbox games. So as long as they bring a robust library with those options, then I don't really have too much of a problem with the fact that they're going to hold off for the Game Awards. Let other companies have that moment for themselves, and just focus on making really good games and having those games be something that garners interest in the Game Awards in the future, and not necessarily tie so much to whether or not this Game Awards was good or bad for Xbox, and just let the developer update that we're going to have in January show off from the studios themselves.
You keep saying it as if it is happening. Are we sure that is happening?
No, but
are we just strongly believing it?
I'd be shocked if it didn't happen.
2 years in a row, and every single one of them has gotten high praise from people. So I would be very impressed. And the fact that there's nothing shown now just reaffirms to me that they're holding their cards close to their chest. They have like their thing that they want to do, because otherwise, like I guess it would have been 4 years ago. They showed off like the Xbox Series X, like what it was going to look like. They've had really big gets.
5 years.
Was it 5 years ago? Yeah. 5 years ago, they were giving Jeff a lot.
Right.
Now they're not giving Jeff so much. And I think that's because they have better venues for their content and better ways to approach it. Like I prefer the approach where if you want to talk about a game that's coming up, you don't do a trailer at the Game Awards. You give the developers a camera and a microphone, and you let them sit down and talk about why they're passionate about that game.
I'm sorry, Chipotle. Can I just say what I want to note that I agree with you that we will have one. I just want to make sure we hadn't heard about it, because when you look at what do we have? Fable, Outer Worlds, Doom: The Dark Ages, New COD, Perfect Dark,
Doom,
Avowed. Yeah, it's a Doom Dark Ages. Like, there's so much that's coming. I agree that we will have it. I was just making sure I didn't miss an announcement or misunderstand something. So, thank you.
No, I'm just very forward on that.
Gotcha. Jose, what were you gonna say, man?
I was just saying, I agree with Logan. The way I view this, I know that if you watch our stream, just a heads up, like there's a lot of opinions being thrown every way. At the end of the day, man, not everything has to be about Xbox all the time, every day. Like that's just like, I think it's cool when it is. It makes me excited when it is. But at the end of the day, I think part of what happened was after E3 fell apart years ago, we got used to at E3 basically this idea that like, okay, let's go see what Nintendo's doing. Let's go see what PlayStation's doing. Let's go see what Xbox is doing. Everybody kind of had their time in the limelight. And then as that died and we got to these shows, it became more of a competition of like, how much did our system get featured? And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think the right way to look at it is these are all cool games. And again, not every game is going to speak to you. That's also okay, because they're just people play different kinds of games. I also, just full transparency, as a PC gamer now, mostly, even though I still play a ton of Xbox games, I'm pretty confident that at some point most of these games will be available for me to play, and I don't have to play them day one because I don't have time to play them at day one, right? Like indie, like as much as I want to get already into, like I bought Silent Hill, I want to play Silent Hill, I still want to finish some backlog stuff. I got to indie and I'm like, man, I really just want to take my time because I'm genuinely having so much fun walking around. And so, if I don't get to play, like I didn't get to play Rebirth when it came out, obviously, because it was PlayStation only. But guess what? Now, a couple years later, it's coming to PC, right? And Astrobot, it's not on PC yet. I guarantee you it is coming now that it won Game of the Year. So, like, I think we have to think about that approach of like, just because Xbox wasn't the most focused on company, that's okay. They'll have their time too, right? And if even if Jeff theoretically becomes a place where Sony features their stuff, good for Sony, right? Like, because they make cool stuff, Xbox will make also cool stuff. You need that competition in the marketplace for this thing to grow as an entertainment industry.
Yep. No, it's well said. Well said. Yeah. I tend to agree on a number of different levels there. I just hope that audiences keep their expectations in check, right? There was no Silk Song. Nintendo was a no-show. Xbox was all but missing, and it was still a pretty great show. So it's important to keep that in mind. So, and I'll argue there's too many shows in the year. Like to have something great at Gamescom, at PAX, at Summer Game Fest, at the individual showcases, developer direct, etc. Like there's a lot of ways and places to show, and clearly the industry is contracting right now. So, all right, gentlemen, I want to one more time offer a thank you to Tao Zochi for the incredible super chat. I really appreciate that. I've never seen that happen, and I'm kind of taken aback if I'm being honest with you. So I thank you for the $100 super chat. It will go towards good use in covering stuff, and I hope you guys keep an eye on the channel for sure, because we really have been working hard behind the scenes and in front to just try and bring coverage of Xbox adjacent and Xbox relevant content. So thank you for that one. Chipotlebear, let us know where we can find you on socials and what you guys are doing over at the Nerd Chat.
Thank you guys, first of all, for having me, both of you all. It's great always to chat all the time together online, but also great to be here. I know it's hard with all of our lives and jobs and stuff, but you can find me Chipotlebear at most of the platforms. I am more on Blue Sky now than anything, just because it's a pretty happy place there, which is great, man. And while sometimes our own lives and jobs can be bringing us down, that's a nice place to be, especially for something like gaming, the gaming group there. But you can find me also on the Nerd Chat. It's our show we hosted every Thursday night around 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, with three of my best friends that we also actually live relatively close to each other in Colorado. And we've just been gamers our whole life. We talk about all things gaming, food, and the good old days. So if you want to feel like it's okay to be unhealthy with your food, you come to us. We are a judgment-free zone when it comes to that. But other than that, we just talk a lot about games and have a lot of fun. And, for what it's worth, as much as we sometimes argue with Joe or the Trophy Room, we also love those guys too. Of course, Ains at Season Gaming as well.
Kyle and Light are great people at the Trophy Room. You're right. Kyle and Light, wonderful humans.
Absolutely. And in terms of what we're working on, shout out to our fearless leader, Dan Daddy Diwali. We just got one of our first codes ever, because we're a pretty small podcast, to be honest with you. And he did a great job in his first review with that, and working on a couple other big things there as well. So come check us out. We do a lot of YouTube shorts as well, if that's your kind of thing as well. And again, guys, I just want to say thank you for having me here at the show. Always a blast to have us. And I was talking to my wife. I turned 40 in a couple months, and she's trying to figure out what we're going to do for my birthday. I don't know, because I don't think about it like that, but
shop for grave sites.
If it was the 1800s,
find a plot where you'll be happy.
But I was thinking, man, afford. I was like, man, you know what I'd love to do when I turn 50, because I'd have time to plan it. I was like, I want to take our whole Nerd Chat crew and do I think Xbox Fan Fest would be fun. Like all of us go together if we plan it out far enough. Or I would love to just do a tour of like all our friends. Like I'd love to go East Coast and go see Joe, and go down and visit Luke, and then West Coast and go visit Logan and stuff like that. Just to see each other. So anyway, it's been great, guys. Happy Saturday. Go play lots of games. And for what it's worth, I've said it so many times, go play Indiana Jones. It is freaking sweet, man. Having a great time.
It's really good.
Logan.
Keelhauled. They are riding the ship, man. They put out a developer update recently that talked about a lot of the things that they are fixing, the issues that I had with a lot of the tools that they've recently put in, plus their change in cadence. they're going back to days of old. I think they recognize that the community is not happy. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do this coming year. So that's coming up on Keelhauled for this weekend. Should be out on Monday. So if you guys want to get an up-to-date idea of where Sea of Thieves is at, then check out Keelhauled podcast, a Sea of Thieves podcast, where I've been making it for almost 7 years.
It's pretty wild, man.
So cool. Yeah, coming up, I think on like episode 347, I think this weekend. So that's going there. Got the little link to Blue Sky right here. So if you guys want to find me on social media, that's where I'm going to be publicly. Otherwise, I'm in the XEP Discord or hanging out in the Nerd Chat or Project X Talk or other chat rooms for some of our sister shows and friends and stuff who are also podcasting. So you'll find me around there. Otherwise, probably Call of Duty multiplayer, because really, who needs to do Marvel Rivals when I've already got Call of Duty? Luke, good show. Thank you, buddy. How about you?
No, man, I will echo the support of our sister shows, because community is community, and it really means a lot when you see X Talk doing well, when you see Jam Pack Sam getting to showcase hardware, when you see Dan get to make his first video review, which I know he was probably nervous and excited about. And I will tell you, if you look at the first video review we did compared to the most recent ones, it's a big difference. And like, that's the part of it, and taking your audience on that journey with you, because it is really, I don't know about you, Logan, but I put so much pressure on myself during those reviews, and like, I stress about it. I hate doing them until it's done. Then I'm like, yes. And I will encourage everybody to go watch your Call of Duty review. That's some of the best editing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's great, man.
The opening minute was just wild in terms of editing. It was so impressive.
Well, that's from the game. I full discusure, like
you cut your gameplay into that in such a good way. And so I've been learning so much about editing and capture and everything else in my time. To see you apply it there was very impressive. And Chipotlebear and another number of the Nerd Chatter educators, when you see someone learning a skill and then applying it, knowing how much goes into it, it's such an impressive thing. So I was very just proud, I guess you would say. Thanks, for sure. Which was cool. And it takes time and practice, right? Look at our Suicide Squad one.
Yeah.
Compared to now. And so it's neat. I see Gentle Stone and Todd Oxter in the chat with compliments on today's show. Thank you so much. Big B Money, it was good to see you. Happy Cloud Gamer, good to see you. We appreciate you guys. Keep your eyes. I've got interviews that I've had in queue, but I will say one person backed out, and I think it's due to how I covered their content. I was like, sorry, that happens too. But I'm looking forward to doing more. It's just a matter of the time of year. But I know we have more content coming for you guys, and we're just appreciative of the support. Go support your content creators. Drop the super chats to the content creators you like. Drop the likes and shares to those people. Support them making the content that you enjoy. That is going to be it for us. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care.